Hello and welcome to Up at Noon at 5. I'm your host, Brian Altano. With me is Max Scoville.
I'm also kind of the host here. We both host it, we're co-hosts.
No, I know. I'm saying I'm the host and you're the host too.
We're the hostess, like the cupcake company.
With me is my little Debbie, Max Scoville. Off the rails. 8 seconds in.
Just right out the gate. What is this show? What is it? What do we do here?
I'm trying to. I will turn this car around right now. Up and Noon is our weekly comedy variety show right here on IGN. We cover news, pop culture, all the nonsense that sort of falls through the cracks at the rest of IGN, but also big stories because that's good too. That gets views, and views are good. Everyone loves clicks, and that's why we're going to kick off today talking about some things that might not necessarily be the most popular things in the world, but are still tremendously popular. Baby Yoda, the adorable pint-sized star of The Mandalorian and The Mandalorian Season 2, streaming on Disney Plus basically any minute now, just in the next few hours.
Yeah, I think they've got like a countdown up. It's like 8 hours away or something.
Yeah.
It's at some stupid time in the morning where we're probably not going to be able to see it reasonably, but
yeah, which I feel weird complaining about, because I remember you and I last year would either like you'd stay up super late and watch it, or you wake up at like the crack of dawn and watch it, and that was a weird complaint to have, because in Europe they straight up didn't have it for like 6 months.
Oh yeah, no, that was ridiculous. So I mean, the weird thing about The Mandalorian, we're getting season 2 any minute now. Season 1, the biggest surprise, I think it's very easy to kind of like mandala effect this, but nobody knew about Baby Yoda going in. Like, that was completely a big surprise. And because of that, there was no Baby Yoda merchandise ready when everyone was really excited about it. But that's not going to happen this year at all, because Disney has so much Baby Yoda merchandise ready to go. They're chomping at the bit. They got so much Baby Yoda stuff. Every possible bit of Baby Yoda thing you could possibly imagine. But there's one catch. Baby Yoda isn't called Baby Yoda.
That's right. That's not his name. That's what we call him, because he's a baby version of Yoda's species, which has caused some confusion, obviously, because he's not the actual Yoda, who is an actual, but you know what I'm talking about. The original Yoda, right? From the original trilogy, Yoda. He's not a baby version of him. Everyone knows that. So, but they call him the child. And rewatching season 1, they call him the asset or the child, and blah, 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 blah.
The bounty. There's a lot of, I feel like of all of the words they could have landed on to officially title this creature that everyone who doesn't work for the Lucasfilm story group or the Disney marketing arm refers to as Baby Yoda for the sake of knowing what everyone's talking about, they could have called it the asset, which would have been kind of weird, or the bounty, which would have been sound like a pirate ship or a paper towel company. But they landed on the child. They stuck with the child is the official name for Baby Yoda.
Which is, in a normal world, totally fine. But in the Disney universe of just exploding with merchandise and marketing everywhere, it's created some, I would say, awkward titles for merchandise. So recently, Star Wars had a thing called Mandalorian Monday, where they revealed just the world's largest pile of Star Wars stuff I think I've ever seen ever drop at once. So let's get into it. We have collected for you a large bounty of some of the strangest, weirdest, most WTF titled The Child, aka Baby Yoda merchandise. Now, when we say the names of these things, in your brain, imagine if it was called Baby Yoda and things wouldn't be that weird. But now that they're called The Child, things go down a strange turn.
To clarify, this is you copied and pasted the official titles from like officially approved name brand, Disney trademark registered bullshit thing. Like, this is it. So let's start with this one.
And we will preface: Mandalorian's awesome. Love Star Wars.
No, we love
That's
it.
Great. This is weird.
It's just a weird thing. Let's start with this one. This is a confusing one. A lot of people, no kids, no pets. The child pet costume.
Okay, so like out of context, that sounds like someone is keeping a child as a pet. Coupled with the image, it's even weirder because you have this, small sort of grandmother dog wearing the child costume, but in the moment where he slurps up the frog, but it just looks like his body is there's so much happening.
There's so much going on there. It's really confusing. So you're actually not dressing up your pet as the child. This should be called
The child, the frog.
The child. It should be called the child eats your pet costume.
Yeah.
Like it's a really, again, and it's going to get worse. So strap in. It gets really strange.
Okay.
This one,
the child clogs for adults, which sounds like it's if you had an AI generated disease. What's wrong with her, honey? Oh, she has the child clogs. For adults? Yes, adults can also get the child clogs. It's a blood clot.
It's also, I feel like we're getting into this, like this is Crocs brand, but I don't know why they didn't just say Crocs, you know? Like, I don't, again, that's a, when I think clogs, I think of like finely crafted, like Danish wood and leather, footwear, but no, sir, these are Crocs.
Or toilet stuff.
Yeah, that too. So let's move on. Let's get through this.
Okay. This is the child holiday pajamas for women. So if you're an adult woman, which this is what this is for, you can get holiday pajamas, which makes sense. A lot of people get pajamas around the holidays. They lounge around. It's a full week. We have really nothing to do for most people. But to have the child holiday pajamas for women, it makes no sense. It's also just like it's Christmassy, and there's just pictures of Baby Yoda all over it. But this is called Baby Yoda. This
is also exacerbated by the fact that nobody wants to just come out and say like Christmas. Like
right.
They want to say you have to be sort of like you have to be as sort of, I don't even want to say PC. It's more like generic. Like it's weirdly like sterile. Like it's just like holiday, like winter festivity infant pajamas for female human adult. Like it's just like so. All right. So moving
Next.
on.
This is great. The child costume shoes for baby.
Now this sounds like a bootleg item you would find on like Amazon or on like a weird eBay listing. But this is official. This is like the official name. The child costume shoes for baby.
Yeah, and so
shoes for baby sounds like a darling musical or like a rom-com or something.
Yeah, baby shoes you never worn, right? Let's see. Oh, you've never heard that? You don't know about that one? Okay.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Here we go. 5 foot. 5 foot the child with candy cane. What does that even mean? 5 foot the child.
I remember there was one kid in my 4th grade class, and 4th grade you're already starting to get out of like, child territory. You're entering like the tween zone or whatever. There was one kid who was like 5'1", and everyone was like, "What's that boy eating? What is wrong with him? What sort of powers does he have? Like, who is this large woodland boy who's like 5'1"? Like, that's a big child."
But like, imagine if you come inside and you're like, "Honey, the child out front stopped working."
That's
the child deflated on the yard.
It's weird.
Next, the child plush stuffed pillow bunny. It's just awkward. I just don't like these names.
It's not good. It's not a good naming convention. And here's the thing. The Mandalorian works because the Mandalorian is a made-up word. It is specifically a Star Wars word. It makes sense. And in the context of the show, other characters refer to Din Djarin, who is the Mandalorian. Again, his name was revealed later on as, "Hey, Mando. Oh, the Mandalorian is here." Yep. That was his descriptor. They do refer to the child as the child, but again, it's also the asset or the bounty or whatever. But the difference is, whereas the Mando is like, "Oh, that's a Star Wars word. I get it." The child has a whole lot of other weird connotations here on planet Earth in the galaxy that is not far, far away, but is in fact right here and right now.
Right. Such as this next one, Curious, the child blank. That's okay. Like at best, that sounds like an AI generated children's book. At worst, I'm not getting there. Next, this is the worst one. The child wanted poster. Child wanted.
It's also like, again, it should be written in Aurebesh. It should be like one of those tracker tags. It should be like a holographic projection. And also, I feel like this is the different kind of bounty. Like that's the type of bounty. Like that's an official bounty. That's like a government bounty, which I guess they kind of had. But we're getting, like, I know I'm actually this a little bit hard here, but within the context of the show, this is the wrong kind of a bounty hunter stuff. They're doing just a weird sort of cowboy thing. So I don't.
It's just weird to go online and be like child wanted and Google it. Like it's just
again, that's like they do like that's.
Okay, next, the child squishy line.
No.
First of all, this thing looks dead and haunted. Like above all else, like the fact that they lit up everything but its eyes, so it's just like it's just.
This is literally how they filmed the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where all the Nazis catch fire. Like they built dummies and they put light bulbs inside of them to make them glow from the inside. It's weird to see Baby Yoda look like he's about to burst into holy fire.
Yep. Next, the child costume. So this is what it's this is what it's actually called. And they don't make an adult the child costume. They just make a child the child costume. And when you see that word that many times, it stops losing meaning. But yes, this is a child-sized costume of the child, aka Baby Yoda, who is 50. Next, top 10, the child shoes, which sounds like a David Letterman bit or an IGN article. Top 10 is a type of Adidas, and this specific style is based off of the inspired by the child. So this is top 10 the child shoes.
But it sounds like a thing that would get posted on like babycenter.net, or that like moms would type in when they're trying to figure out what to get besides Skechers, I guess.
How about this?
For the record, these are pretty cool. I'm actually pretty into all the Adidas shoes that they made. Yeah,
these are great.
But again, it's a weird thing to write there.
The child trigger action mode.
This sounds like a Japanese video game.
Yes, exactly. Next,
why does it look really scary there?
I don't know. They just keep using different types of like clip art for him, and it's very odd. All right. Next, this created an amazing scenario today. This is the child life size. The child life size is made by Sideshow. It is a 1-to-1 scale, like actual replica version of the child. And so it created this scenario where we got an email the other day that said the child life size figure makes a special appearance on ESPN's Monday Night Football, which basically means, full scale Baby Yoda doll on football TV. But the way they said it is the child life size figure. It's horrible.
Yeah. Also, I mean, like you can add more words to try to add more context, but if you were to throw in like sideshow there, that makes it worse because it's like, the good old American football. They now have a sideshow on the side to just show off the child, life size the child. Even it's this. Would you believe
the holidays are coming in? Maybe you do want a little bit of the child every day, just a little bite of the child every day. So here is the child milk chocolate filled 2020 advent calendar. This is horrible.
The child milk chocolate milk. It's like chicken strip club sandwich. You're just like they got chicken strip clubs now. Wowzers!
It's just a bunch of words that should not be together.
I saw this one in a store when I was buying Doritos or something, and I did like a weird record scratch, like backpedal thing, and like took a picture of it and sent it to you because it totally caught me off guard because of so many things on this packaging that are just a little bit weird to me. And then I realized I was the man in the Vons taking a photograph of the child advent calendar, and I felt maybe I'm the real villain. So first things first. At the top, it says The Mandalorian, the Child, which makes it sound like there's a new Mandalorian where it's a prequel, where it's about like the Mandalorian, the child. Again, we do see flashbacks. So are we going to see, if they did do a prequel series about Din Djarin as a young boy, would it be like the child Mandalorian, not to be confused with the Mandalorian, the child?
They gave him his own logo that looks like a 90s Jack Nicholson movie or like a breakfast cereal. But
if you look closely, it's really weird. It says the child. 50-year-old bounty, which is really weird. And then it gets even stranger where just above him, I don't know if they just pulled this graphic from the Visual Dictionary or something, but it just says in the middle of the packaging, species unknown. Like that's a straight, like if you bought a Star Wars product that had Chewbacca on it, like they don't write Wookiee over him.
No.
Like that's an odd thing to do.
No, and so like the Mandalorian season 2 will be here soon. Hopefully, it answers some questions. Hopefully, they give this boy a name, and we never have to do this again. And then hopefully they go into the Amazon listings and they change the titles of everything they ever called him before.
I mean, that's an interesting point. It's not going to change the packaging, but like we went into Mandalorian season 1 being like, who is like where did this thing come from? Baby Yoda, because we don't know what the hell it's called. And then we finished Mandalorian season 1 being like, oh, the Mandalorian's real name is Din Djarin. It's entirely possible they named this thing. They're like, we'll call you Yablo, and then we'll all be like, it's Yablo, and then I don't know.
Which is a much, much easier, better way to live. Well, anyway, we will know very soon because Mando season 2 is almost here. And despite all this, terrifying merchandise, we are very excited for it. One thing that will not be here as soon as we expected it is Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red put up that devastating, dreaded yellow rectangle on social media the other day, which every time you see, it's like, the groundhog sees his shadow or whatever. It means something. It means there's going to be a delay, right? Like, it means we're not going to be playing this game for a very long time. This time specifically, 21 days was the delay, which is great. It is interesting because it kicks it out of sort of the Jeff Keighley Game Awards Game of the Year territory into next year. Mm-hmm. It also moves it away from the next generation console launch window. Interesting thing about this game, it is coming to PC, Stadia, PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One X, Xbox One, PS4 Pro, and PS4. And there's maybe one I'm missing in there.
No, it's easy to look at that whole thing and be like, oh well, of course they've got to polish and tighten everything up, and they've spread themselves too thin, and there's all these different things to deal with. But in an earnings call, CD Projekt joint CEO Adam Kaczynski, I'm probably mispronouncing that because Polish is hard to pronounce. He said, "We underestimated the time required for the final processes. The game is ready for the PC and runs great on the next gen consoles, and could be shipped on the scheduled date on those platforms." However, even though the game has been certified on the current gens by both Sony and Microsoft, some final optimization processes for such a massive and complex game require a bit of additional time, which is frustrating.
Right.
Because, I mean, they also kind of did a big reveal in this game alongside a big sort of Series X announcement. I feel like a lot of people are buying a new console for this game, and we're excited to play this game day one on their brand new console. And at the same time, there are also a huge amount of people out there who wanted to play this game on their current gen consoles because it was announced way at the very beginning of last gen. Like this game was announced in 2012, a year before the PS4, Xbox One base models were released. Right. So like, I don't think it's not outrageous to be like, I'm going to play this on PS4. Like, let me play it on PS4. But at the same time, it totally sucks for anybody who's like, yeah, I upgraded my PC or I bought a new next-gen console. So like,
yeah, and so that's an interesting thing to note here. Couple of things real quick is obviously there is currently no sort of like dedicated PS5 or Xbox Series XS version of Cyberpunk 2077. Those hardware, the game will benefit from the power of those hardware, the SSDs, all that other fun stuff, right? It will look and play better than it does on current gen hardware for sure. And you have to surmise that CD Projekt Red is having a easier time developing for those systems alongside the PC version.
That's a weird kind of like edge case because they say that gets rolled into what constitutes last gen. Like a PS4 Pro is still technically a PS4. But were it treated like a separate device entirely, like maybe we could all get Cyberpunk day one, and like that sucks for people with like PS4 launch versions. But at the same time, you have that many more people who can play this new game.
Yeah, and so I've seen a lot of conversation on social media about like what should actually happen here, because this is a 21-day stretch of a delay that will be long days, hard hours, developing mostly probably to get the kinks out of for now, I can say current gen versions of those games. And by current gen, I mean the current generation of PS4 and Xbox One is fascinating in that it's one of the first that had a significant split in power midway through the generation. But those sales numbers of those second sort of, tertiary, secondary versions of those systems never even began to eclipse the sales of the initial versions of those systems, because the entry-level versions of those systems, which are now very cheap, sold in the tens and millions. We're talking like 115 million PS4s in the wild, most of which are the base model, and around 50 million versions of the Xbox, most of which are not the One X, but the base model. And so those consoles now are basically like developing for a 7-year-old, 8-year-old PC.
I mean,
And
you could argue that last gen is a generation and a half long, because we did get that sort of half step up with the Pro and the One X, and it's, I don't know, like I'm sort of two minds about this, because part of me is like, well, you know, they've had 8 years to get it together, and obviously they've been working very hard on it. At the same time, they managed to get, you know, The Witcher 3, which is a crazy ambitious game, and they that was clearly like they, you know, targeted what that console generation was capable of. And I feel like next gen kind of like loomed its head, and they were like, "Ooh, let's go crazy with that." And then suddenly that became kind of the target, and they like lost. I mean, again, this is a massive, almost decade long development made by hundreds of people who are much smarter than me. So I'm being careful with what I'm saying here. But it's kind of a weird situation where, I mean, I guess we all, you know, it's like somebody said something rude when the teacher wasn't looking, and now we all have to be punished for it. Like, we all have to sit here and wait for them to finish it. But I mean, on the bright side, this is a studio that miraculously shoved The Witcher 3 onto the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And it works.
These are hardware wizards, you know. It's not the best looking version of the game, but if you have a Switch and that's your only access to, you know, one of the best games ever made, then
at the same time, that game also looks phenomenal on like a high end PC or on a you know, PS4 Pro or whatever. I imagine they'll probably go in and do like impressive technical upgrades to The Witcher 3 for PS5 and Series X.
And so, but, like, realistically,
I
was going to say, realistically, the weird thing here is that we have not ever once seen what the current gen versions of these games look like, or this game looks like, which is fascinating. We actually really haven't seen what the next gen versions of this game look like. We've seen it basically just running on PC, and that's about it.
I feel like this is going to go back to sort of, I remember in the days of yore, like you would look at, you know, magazines, and there'd be screenshots. It would be side by side of like, here's how it looks on this platform versus this platform. And like, maybe, you know, like before even internet video was a thing, we do graphics comparisons on IGN all the time, but I feel like more recently it hasn't been that drastic of a difference. Like, there was a point in time where it was like, yeah, PS3 and Xbox 360, they're kind of like that. And then occasionally you'd see like one was like way better than the other. This is going to be an odd one. And at the same time, this is not the first game that we're going to see like this. Sony's Jim Ryan just gave a quote recently where kind of talking about how the PS4 has been doing really well, and you know, obviously they're focused on the PS5 as well. But he said, PS4 community we've spoken about, that will be the vast majority of people on PlayStations during that time. It is crucial that we keep the PS4 audience engaged and happy. They're in an odd situation where they obviously want to sell PS5s. They obviously are selling PS5s, but at the same time, they also have a whole lot of people out there who have PS4s, and they don't want to leave them high and dry, because then they'll piss them off. So,
no, and engaged and happy is a really good note, because this is a console that sold 14 million units so far. Had, you know, multiple Game of Year contenders this year. That there were record selling games. Ghost of Tsushima, I believe fastest new IP of all time. Last of Us 2 sold incredibly quickly and well too. So obviously they don't want to give that up. And so we can't sit here and be like, delay the current gen version of Cyberpunk, so all of us moving on, or PC gamers and stuff like that, can benefit, because that's 150 something million people you're leaving in the
So it's a weird situation. It's also weird to see a video game that is that takes an entire console generation to develop. Hold on, I gotta shut my door real quick.
Very excited for Watch Dogs. Comes out this Friday.
So anyway, on the subject of video games that come out at the very tail end of a console's life cycle, one of the best-selling games in the history of video games is, of course, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which dropped on the PS2 just right at the tail end. And one of the key features of GTA San Andreas was the ability to go and eat a whole bunch of junk food and put on a whole lot of weight, and then go swim around for hours and get inexplicably ripped. A local chicken restaurant here I live in Oakland. This is in downtown Oakland. There's also a location in Sacramento. It is called World Famous Hot Boys. They hit me up on Instagram with this was one of the weirdest things I've ever been approached about. They said, "Hey, our restaurant is dressing up for Halloween." And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "We're going to be cosplaying as Cluckin Bell, one of the beloved restaurants from San Andreas, which since appeared in Liberty City Stories and in GTA 4. And I think you get to go to one of the Cluckin Bell like factory farms in 5. But you know, it's a one of those wonderful kind of tongue-in-cheek rock star establishments. So they basically sent me kind of some of the stuff that they're going to be outfitting people in, and they're also I think they're giving these out alongside if you buy a chicken meal, like they're like prizes. And so there's a mask, there's the employee shirt, which it has a logo. Awesome. It says a thing on the back that I don't even know if we're allowed to show on IGN.
Well, we're allowed to show GTA gameplay, so I think you can show the back of the T-shirt very quickly.
Well, yeah, it's the slogan is it's the
you don't have to say it. It's
yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Weirdest of all, they also we'll get to this in a second. I want to show off kind of they sent over some photos. So they've got their employees dressed up like like Cluckin Bell employees appropriately. Their actual restaurant is it looks like it's in a video game. It's like entirely spray painted with weird pictures of chickens and stuff. So they're doing, fried chicken boxes to give away shirts and stuff. They also made custom air chicken wings. Basically, they made
those are amazing.
Yeah, I think these should have gone to you. Like you're the resident sneakerhead, and I think these are probably your size anyway.
I love that they did the Nike swoosh in as.
I don't know what you're talking about. These look nothing like Nikes. There's clearly this is an active parody. In the same way that this is the dressing up your entire restaurant as a restaurant from a massive video game is an active parody or homage or whatever. And I hope that if Nike or Rockstar come and knock and they just eat the chicken first. It's very good. Anyway,
it's just a joke. Don't worry about it.
But something else I love is that they also made this is the kind of stuff that I've done for like weird IGN videos. They made a custom bottle of Sprunk, San Andreas' #1 soft drink, and they sent this like really just made me so happy. They sent over some photos of the bottle and stuff. And one of them included a little nod to one of our favorite movies, Good Time, which
directed by the Safdie brothers, who've been on this show multiple times.
They've been on this show, which is weird to be like, we make like a critically acclaimed art house, A24 films. And also we occasionally go on that talk show with the action figures. But and then here's this great shot of I guess this I think I don't want to say anything too much here, but I believe that sauce is called money sauce on their menu. And I wanted to plug their Instagram, but they fully are investing in this. They are going they really are just becoming Cluckin Bell. This is only for I think 3 days. It's over the weekend. So if you're in the Bay Area, swing by Oakland. I don't think they're doing it in Sacramento, but
Max, I will say Hot Boys makes one of the best fried chicken sandwiches I've ever had in my entire life.
No, one of the 2 times we've hung out since quarantine, we sat in my backyard and drank beer and sat 10 feet away from each other and ate incredibly hot chicken sandwiches. And both like,
they are amazing. So yeah, if you're in Oakland, go to Hot Boys. They'll hook you up. They make delicious food. And if you've been listening or watching the show for a long time, we're both really into spicy food, and they're legit. They know what they're doing over there.
They have one of them that you have to. It's let's see, Secret Stairs Records says that looks like Nashville hot chicken. That is the style they're going for. I've never been to Nashville, so I can't speak to its integrity, but I have had people tweet at me when I think I posted a photo of myself weeping tears of hot sauce, and they were like, "That place is legit. They know what they're doing." So huge thanks to Hot Boys, world famous Hot Boys, for sending this stuff over. If you're in Oakland or Sacramento or whatever, check them out. And again, it's just like I love that this is one of those. This is like the creeping legitimacy of video games to be like, we're going to dress up like but then again, San Andreas is 15 years old. So time flies.
I think every restaurant should dress up for Halloween. Like that. Yeah. That's cool as hell.
Yeah. That'd be great. All right. So moving on, this is, let's see, do we have this lined up right? Is this the next thing we're doing? Yes, this is the thing. This should be a Halloween episode. I guess that we just talked about dressing up as chickens and whatnot, but I feel like if we were in better spirits, or if we just, I don't know, we've been busy, I guess, but we would do some, spooktacular nonsense and dress up and everything. But
I do have a costume in the other room. It's just contextually only seeing the top half of it.
You're being Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah. Which sucks because it's I swear I'm not a stoner.
That's one of those costumes that doesn't really work unless you have other people doing the costumes with you. You know, like you need to have. You know, that's anyway.
Otherwise, it's just me in a wig. You know, and it's
yeah. So yeah, on the subject of fun Halloween stuff, this got revealed today. I was incredibly excited about it. The Misfits, the horror punk band, you know, founded by Jerry Only and Glenn Danzig. I will say the Misfits are my second favorite thing to come out of New Jersey besides you, Brian.
That is the sweetest thing you've ever said to me. Like straight up, that's beautiful.
But yeah, they're you know, they're a horror punk band. They sing songs about Martians and monsters and all that stuff. And Junji Ito, the wonderful manga illustrator who's made Uzumaki and Tales to Confound, and also like a weird manga about his cats, but just does some incredibly terrifying art, has partnered with the Misfits. They're doing a limited run of very, very cool Junji Ito Misfits shirts. There's like a few designs that are kind of you know, redistributed. They're currently, these are up for pre-order. They're shipping in January, just in time to be too late for Halloween. But these are super cool. There's this one which I went and I pre-ordered several of these. We've got this wonderful like skeleton Jerry Only, and then the Misfits on the back, which is, you know, Misfits cross, you know, Junji Ito's signature. There's this one where it's like the Crimson Ghost, and he's just got it's so good. It's Junji Ito doing the Junji Ito thing, but it still manages to like have that Misfits aesthetic. Like I love it so much.
You know, like what's especially awesome about his art is that it weirdly has this sort of 80s feel to it. Like I fell down a like very deep Junji Ito well this year and basically crash course through all of his stuff. And it was weird to kind of pick my head up and be like, oh, he's still working. Like this isn't like a guy that just like retired 20 years ago.
So apparently today is, I guess Crunchyroll just did a thing with, oh, by the way, these are up on Crunchyroll's store, they're on the Misfits official store, and they're on Forbidden Planet. So they've got like slightly different designs on it. It's all the same kind of visuals, but like slightly different, you know, layouts and color schemes. But yeah, Crunchyroll also put up a video this morning that was just Junji Ito reacting to people's cats. And it was really weird because he's like this, you know, iconic horror figure, and he's just like, this cat is a very good cat. He's a very beautiful white cat. It's this photo of somebody's like cat just like hissing. It's very weird. But yeah, this one
like when Stephen King tweets about his Tesla, you're
it's really yeah. And then there's this one that's 20 eyes themed. These are so cool. There's also a bandana. I really like it, but I also don't know what I would do. I guess you could wear it as a mask. It's probably not. I don't know if that's approved or whatever.
Or get it framed and hang it up. That looks awesome.
Yeah. But here's some closer look at some of the art. I'm so into this. I jumped on this as fast as possible. These will sell out inevitably. Junji Ito did a line of just kind of his art on Crunchyroll merch last year. And yeah, check that stuff out. This is just gorgeous.
Oh, dude, that rules.
Yeah. Word 789 in the chat said, did I miss the Baby Yoda segment? Yes, but it's a live show, but you can rewind it, or you can just wait until we take the VCR and we pull the tape out and we put it up on the website. You can just back it up. But
that's right. Now, once or twice a month when we're driving back to Blockbuster, we do leave it on top of the car and then drive onto the highway and lose the tape.
We've melted several episodes of the show.
Yeah.
But a whole bunch of people who are younger than us just were like, what are they saying? What does this mean? I don't understand this.
But if that does happen, drive down to Blockbuster Video. Our good friends at Asylum Home Video will have you covered with Up It Boob, which will be on the bottom shelf. And you can just get that. It's right next to Morphers and GI Mo.
All right. So I feel like we definitely have like a really, like, I feel like sort of just like shameless to be like, here's the free chicken stuff I got sent. Here's the thing. When you have a show where you unbox weird stuff and talk about weird things, people start sending you more weird things. We got hit up by Spin Master, who make Batman figures. There's a bunch of different companies who are making Batman stuff these days. We've talked about the McFarlane toys, you know, gnarly, grisly, high-end, collector aim stuff. Spin Master's doing the more kid-friendly stuff, and it's really adorable. And it's still, it's like still kicks ass because it's Batman, but it's also like kind of cute. They sent out this enormous box which has a remote control Batmobile in it, which I want to kind of talk about. We have a video clip of this kicking around somewhere. But basically it's like a totally straightforward toy. It is an RC car of the Batmobile, but it has one very funny action feature where you hit a button on the remote, and I think here's a clip of me just kind of unboxing these. There's also like a weird theme where, and it took me a second, there's a lot of like weird kind of deeper cut villains, or there's the Joker, but the Joker's kind of the odd one in this box. There's Firefly, Talon, Bronze Tiger, and Robin, I think, which I was like, what did they not have like the good ones? And then I realized that they're going for an animal theme, which is kind of smart. We always joke about how like Batman villains are just like a group of animal men. Like that's a term you throw around a lot. But when you stop and think about it, that's exactly what that is. Like they totally are a bunch of weird animal men. So it's kind of fitting that, and I feel like that's a very good entry point for little kids. These remind me of let's see. They remind me of like the old Kenner animated series figures we had growing up, where it was totally. Like you'd kind of have to go out of your way to find just like a normal Batman because he'd always be putting on like scuba gear and stuff. But it's still neat. When I was a kid, I didn't have a remote control Batmobile. I don't think they even made one at that point, but they had somebody gave me a remote control like Mercedes convertible, which was arguably like a nicer toy than if there was a remote control Batmobile, but it was also like kind of, it was like, this is what Bruce Wayne would drive like to work, like this is like a adult car. And I'm like, I want like a Batmobile. So I had my Batman awkwardly positioned in like the seat of a Mercedes convertible. So I'm down with an RC Batmobile. Also, I noticed that it does something kind of that we're all very familiar with. Like we all remember Arkham Knight. The Batmobile was the big gimmick in that game. And one of the coolest things you could do in it was you could just floor it and you could just go ramming down the streets of Gotham City and then just go catapulting out. And this has that action feature. I think we have a clip of me terrorizing one of the animal men who lives in my house, who is my dog. Here we go. I think we're queuing it up here. It's a good one. But yeah,
it looks like a third-person video game.
Right? Yeah, he immediately was like, I don't like what's going on here.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like it's like total. I would have had like I will continue to have fun with this, just bothering my poor pets. But like, it's so funny. It does this like little like it's you're not gonna have one that launches Batman out like he is in the games. Goes and then like goes and punches people and has like a shotgun blast and it goes like makes out with Catwoman or whatever. Like it's just like it's a kid's toy. So I'm into it.
So cool. I love that. Yeah, I love that a ton.
I want to show off some more of I think we got some more of the little guys here. They're just, I don't know, they're good ass toys. Like I feel like a lot of the kind of consumer grade figures we see they're either like,
oh, that's awesome.
They take away the articulation or they just I don't know, they dumb them down or something. But these just feel like, I don't know, they're the right speed, I guess. So I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, I don't want to just talk about little kids' toys. We do also have some very high-end, collector-grade McFarlane toys based on some things that are usually much smaller.
What are you talking about? Everything you just showed is perfectly acceptable for an adult man.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good lineup, little animal men. Yeah, so let's talk about this. Warhammer figures are normally very small. They're normally like that big. And McFarlane just got the license to do 7-inch figures of them, which are fittingly badass. I've always had a very casual appreciation of Warhammer. I'm not big on tabletop stuff, but I like models. I like painting. I've built a bunch of these guys in the past. And they're just badass looking. So this is the, Ultramarine Commander something or other, and then a Necron Warrior, I think. And they're super articulated.
Primaris Intercessor.
How could I forget that? Primaris Intercessor. Obviously, everyone. You just look at them. It's just.
Those are amazingly well done. Like I really like the sculpts on those.
So these are great. These are standard McFarlane price, so $20 to $30 depending where you grab them. They've got good paint ops on them. But here's the thing: if you're like a diehard Warhammer fan, like you know how to paint. Like if you've ever seen what mini painters do, like they get in there, they know how to do like detail work and washes and all that. And so McFarlane, in one of the most interesting things, they decided to make unpainted variants, which any other toy line, I'd be like, that is sloppy and lazy and stupid, but it totally works here because if you're a Warhammer fan, chances are you have paint lying around and you have brushes and you know how to paint and how to do brushes, and you probably are a better painter than the people who work at the toy factory normally. So like, I'm hoping that we see some people kind of like overhauling these and giving them, a fresh coat of paint. They're like really, really good sculpts. There's some pop-up details in there.
That's super cool. It reminds me of, you and I are obviously both big Star Wars guys. I've never really seen them do that with Star Wars, but we did build those Bandai Namco model kits and paint them ourselves, and that was a blast. these look super cool. The sculpts are awesome, the paints are awesome, but the idea of painting a Warhammer figure at that scale is like so exciting because
that's where it gets interesting, because if you're using like official Games Workshop paint, like you're gonna probably rack up a little bit of a bill trying to cover that much area, because normally they're like, you know, they're teeny. Mario Madness is you can airbrush them and then get into some detail with painting. Yeah, this would be more like painting like a resin kit or a conventional model kit. But like, I mean, the whole thing about Warhammer is that people customize their own troops. Like people go completely, like they have their own color scheme, they have their own their own outfits and everything, and their own. There's that word. What's that the military dress word? There's like a fancy word for it that I don't know because I'm a weenie. I don't know. Anyway, but like to have like a blank version of this, to have like basically like, hey, we know you paint stuff. Here it is. Check it out. Go nuts. It's just like a really novel idea, and I honestly was like racking my brains for like what else could pull this off. Like I think maybe I think Destiny could do it. Like if they made unpainted Destiny figures, anything where there's like, or like where you customize a character would kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, like you and I went to Comic-Con a couple of years ago, and they had like an entire gallery of sort of hand painted R2D2s. Stuff like that's really interesting. Like I think that you could totally do it with like basically anything that you blow up the scale a lot of would be really, really, really cool. Like there's a lot of stuff that comes inside like board games and stuff that we never really see at that scale. And I feel like we just continue to see McFarlane toys just grow and grow and grow and do cooler and crazier stuff. And like,
yeah, they're definitely keeping busy. I'm trying to rearrange some stuff in my house, and they sent me an enormous box that we're going to be gradually chipping away at and talking about on this show. But like, going to take a second because we have to shoot these little videos, and there's so many toys. But speaking of toys, one thing that is literally nothing at all remotely like Warhammer is Sesame Street. So let's talk about Sesame Street on our weird show.
So this has been a fantastic year for Lego. They've done tons of cool stuff. My favorite, obviously, is the Lego NES, which you can see in the back of my shot over there. They a couple years ago did the sort of Magic Kingdom, castle from the middle of Disneyland, complete with minifigs and everything like that. Most recently, they did Friends. Like they've been
going down the list of doing like sets based on the most unexpected things. Like they did Big Bang Theory.
And they're really good at doing things that are sort of like based on a place or like a very iconic figure or vehicle. And Sesame Street is obviously one of the most iconic streets of all time. Sort of layout wise, it's very hard to picture it in your head because it's almost like a interchangeable configuration of sets. But that's where Lego comes in. So Lego announced 123 Sesame Street. We wanted to cover this last week, but things got jam-packed, and we had to talk about it this week. This comes out November 1st. It is $119, and it comes with a bunch of minifigs. We've got Bert, Ernie, Big Bird, Elmo, and Cookie Monster. And I believe Oscar the Grouch, if you want to call him that, he's actually just a circular head inside of a trash can.
I like that he's at an angle. They could have. This is just really well designed. Also, not every like design works with Lego. Like I'm not wild about how they handle SpongeBob. A lot of the Disney figures look kind of like seeing Donald Duck with enormous square legs is like oddly unsettling to me. But I think because so many of the Sesame Street Muppets or puppets or whatever their official nomenclature is, so many of them are people inside costumes that there's something that kind of works about that. Like obviously like Elmo doesn't have like human legs, but I always kind of equate like Bert and Ernie. They're like they're all kind of chunky. Like it kind of works.
Yeah, and what's really awesome, they all come with accessories. They've got rubber duckies and birds and cookies and fish, and there's there's a bathtub for Bert and Ernie. There's all sorts of like interesting sort of typography and signage all over the place. Just weird details abound everywhere. It just looks like one of those sets. It's like not only like really fun to build, which I think they're fantastic at. Obviously, that's one of the things that they like really hinge on, but also to play with. Like there's a little room up here where Cookie Monster can eat cookies and watch the news. But
what's weird about this is do you ever see Cookie Monster's house?
No.
I guess you see him in houses, but he's a monster, and it's weird to think of him having just like a studio apartment that he goes back to. And it's weirder still that there's just a framed picture of the Count on the wall.
I know.
Like, what's their relationship? Are they friends?
I think they're all friends. I mean,
they're all friends because there's no hatred or enmity on Sesame Street. But I guess like I'm curious who would hang out with each other.
It is strange, right? Like who would like kind of pair off and go like have a day trip somewhere? Probably Cookie Monster and the Count. Like that'd be interesting. Like I feel like Cookie Monster would be like,
yeah. No, I think they've done a lot of stuff where he counts the cookies that Cookie Monster's eating.
Yeah.
Or how many chips are in the cookie or whatever.
And it's just chaos.
Or like they take the Cookie Monster to the hospital, and the guy's like, "How many cookies did he eat?" And the Count is like, 1, 2, and he's like, "We gotta hurry up. We need to pump his stomach. Like we gotta get this out of the way."
So yeah, this set is $119 out November 1st, like we said. I'm really into it. Like it's hard for me to justify getting Legos because they take up space. But if I had one of those like big toy basements, now that I have a kid, like I would totally do that, Will Ferrell thing from the Lego movie, but allow the kid to play with them, which is what he didn't do. He was the villain of that film.
Yeah.
And just basically built an entire town out. Now, if you're slightly more of an adult and you like hard, scary, gritty monsters and not just Cookie Monsters, then you'll love Shin Godzilla. I would say one of the best modern versions of Godzilla ever made. Surprisingly, not a ton of merchandise about that out in the wild, but we did find one thing that I think you will like. It sold out very quickly, but they might restock it. This is the Shin Godzilla Cookie Monster. Let's take a look at this.
I think this is this signed off on officially by Toho? Like,
yes.
I don't know. Some people had to get. I think people did karaoke. I think people got karaoke drunk and agreed to this. I think this is just such a great thing. Yeah, one of the guys we worked with managed to snag this. The pre-orders went up just like that. There's also a red variation, which I guess is more in line with Shin Godzilla's aesthetic than with Cookie Monster and Grover's aesthetic. But this is still so great. This actually is scary. This is the creepy thing with the Grover tail.
Yeah. I mean, like it's kind of a goof, but it's terrifying. Obviously, Mondo put this together. If you've seen their work before, they do phenomenal art. Sort of a lot of like they if they ever do like sort of kit bash brands, they do so tastefully. And it's weird to say something it's tasteful when it has like a 6-foot long Grover tail. But God, I love this. Like the thing is about Cookie Monster's mouth is that as like a puppet, it was always scary to me how it looked like this like endless cavern, like it just looked like this pit of despair because they just painted this whole black and had an adult man puppeteer.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's scarier, the Cookie Monster's like empty void of a mouth, which is it's like a whale shark or something. I guess it's like or Shin Godzilla's original mouth, which is it's just all the little needle teeth.
Right.
They made a ride in Japan. It's like a life-size head of Shin Godzilla, and you zipline through it.
Yeah, which I want to travel again. So
yeah, right.
I will say personally, the scariest thing about this is his hands. Like that is like weird taking of Deborah Logan fingers. Like like there's
they're surprisingly normal. It's also weird to think of like I guess imagining Cookie Monsters with human hands. Like to have that head and then he holds up his hands and they're full of cookies, but they're just like an adult woman's hands. That would be strange.
Yeah. And then like he's got this like sort of cross-hatched veinage going on around his.
It's pretty upsetting. This is just also like such a to begin with. Shin Godzilla it's Evangelion meets Godzilla. Like it's directed by the guy who did Evangelion, and he just straight up like lifted the score from Evangelion and was like, no, it was good. It's a good monster attack music. We're using it again, and just like rolled it into Godzilla. Nobody batted an eyelash. And so the
battle theme plays like 60 times throughout that movie.
It's so great. And then just to be like, so now it's Godzilla, Evangelion, but also Sesame Street. Why not? Let's just go for it. So now all they need to do is get Junji Ito to draw it and then put it on a shirt for Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla. just keep going. Just transform it.
I'm totally into that. So let's say we have a few minutes left. I wanted to check in with the chat and see
how's everyone doing?
How you guys are doing. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us. It's been a fun few weeks. We're really happy with the episode we did last week. If you missed it, the new sort of Halo Master Chief Mega Construct sponsored the show and gave us an awesome opportunity to build a bunch of cool stuff. This week, much more toys. Obviously, we got to dig into a lot of stuff. I don't know if you have anything you're interested in recently, Max, but these just showed up for me today. These are the Super Mario 35 sort of limited edition pins. And I'm bummed that these sold out so fast because I'm a huge old school fan of like Club Nintendo, and My Nintendo is sort of the spiritual successor to this. And if you bought the Super Mario 35, Super Mario 3D All Stars collection that has Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. Sorry, Galaxy 2. There was an opportunity to like redeem a bunch of points and do a bunch of like weird, challenges and stuff like that to get these, and they still sold out in like half a second. And since I'm insane, I did everything I could to get them, and they just finally showed up today. So they're on this weird sort of felt backing. It feels like your grandfather gave you a watch, and they're these big, like kind of cartoony, really high quality pins. And I'm like, you
have a pretty good pin collection.
I do, yeah.
But you don't wear them a lot anymore because you said your kid just grabs them off and tries to eat them because they look like little metal candies.
Yeah,
they have like little knives on the back of them, so that's a problem.
It's also like it's global warming, so there's been less of a chance to like wear stuff that I can put pins on. Like I've been in mostly like a t-shirt or like a sweatshirt most of the year, and so that's.
I hadn't thought about that. I guess you could do suspenders. Maybe you could wear like suspenders over like a tank top. You go fly a kite at the beach.
What the fuck is going?
Just. You could get one of those big Cat in the Hat hats and put your pins all over that, and then they would tilt this way and that.
Is this your solution to global warming? You wear suspenders over a tank top and you go to the beach.
I'm just saying, if you're trying to wear pins but you want to stay cool, suspenders keep your pants up and give you a way to show off your pins.
But I'm not. What? Why would I wear suspenders?
Or you can take a cue from Mario, wear overalls all the time. You don't even need to wear a shirt under those. They have a shirt built right in. You just put them up over there. Just a nice bib.
Do you think Mario would be as popular as he is if he wore suspenders and not overalls? Like where it's just regular jeans and he just had these things up there? I would say no. I would say no. Because, first of all, people would not identify him as like a working class Italian American man. They would just look at him as like a clown pervert. Like a circus man.
Wow. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. Like, I think if. God, yeah.
I can't believe you told me to wear suspenders and a tank top. That's like the worst combination.
No, man, that's a good look. There's a whole arc of Dragon Ball where Goku wears that. It's a good look. It looks cool. You don't even need to have full length pants. You can have little like what do you call it? Like where you go in the water.
So okay, hold on. Let us know on YouTube or Twitch if I should wear suspenders and a tank top, and if you wear suspenders and a tank top to the beach. Send us pictures on Twitter. I'm at HBizzle. Max is at MaxCoval. Prove it. Put your money where your mouth is.
I think I'll bring back suspenders.
I don't believe anyone would do that. Do you?
I think suspenders are a great way when everyone's just seeing you like from this way up. Suspenders. Tell your friends in the Zoom call. I put on pants for this. I'm wearing trousers because what else would the suspenders be attached to if I didn't have these suspenders on? And you can go like.
Suspenders tell your friends in the Zoom call that they accidentally clicked on the Zoom call for a circus. Like that is not. You don't. Nobody. Do you own suspenders?
No, I made like maybe 3 or 4 pairs.
What? Wait, really?
No, I have like maybe. Okay, I made 1 pair.
You really have a pair of suspenders?
No, I don't know. I think I bought one and then I was like, why would I wear suspenders? And I don't have it anymore. I think the best thing about suspenders is when you get rid of them, you can just slingshot them into like the Goodwill donation bin. You just go.
Scroll Keeper says, stop speaking blasphemy. Suspenders and tank tops do not mix. I agree.
No, you just watch Dragon Ball. Goku gets his clothes incinerated by fighting
Alex, what are you afraid of, Brian? I'm afraid of being enlisted by a carnival and never seeing my family again. Hassani Shillingford says, suspenders and Speedos. He said spenders. You couldn't
I
say
think
the
we
whole
should start calling them spenders.
I'm
Yeah,
in a
put
rush.
on spenders.
I gotta rush out the door. I can't say the whole name of this thing.
I just want to start showing up to Zoom call meetings and just in like a tank top and be like, "Oh, mercy, I'm sorry, I'm horribly underdressed," and then do the thing where you put the suspenders on like over and just go like that and just go, "Had to put on my suspenders."
Secret Stare says that you have them from your ska days. That checks out, actually. That totally checks out.
Look, I know I seem like the kind of guy who loves ska. I have like a very casual appreciation of ska. Ska is a sometimes music, but people think I'm a ska guy, you know? People are they see me and they're just like, they're like, you seem like the kind of guy who likes ska. And I don't that much. I think it's fine.
Joseph Yeshik says, Watch Dogs or wait for Assassin's Creed? Now, here's the thing. With the next generation of video game consoles coming to you soon, we can get a close-up of me on this one. You're going to have a lot of options here. And the cool thing about the next gen is that you can actually suspender multiple games at the exact same time. And by the new suspendering feature coming to the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5, you could actually queue up so many different games and suspender them all day. You can suspender Watch Dogs and then suspender it and then pull it.
So here's the thing: if you're really trying to get the most out of the quick suspend and then the whatever you want the most suspenders in your game, you want the suspense. The Watch Dogs has a whole city of London in present day, well, the future, but some people have suspenders on in there somewhere, probably. A lot of the British are very well dressed. They have the suspenders. I think they probably call them gaiters or something. They always have like a different name for clothes over there. They call it a tank top. They call that a vest, and then what we call a vest, they call it a waistcoat. It's a whole thing. Very strange. But then Assassin's Creed, I don't know if they had suspenders back then. I think they probably had a lot of fur, but it does have. I think it has like armor customization. So maybe you can unlock Viking spenders.
That's true, but you never know. The man in the Animus could be wearing suspenders the entire time he goes back to see the Viking.
The thing about the Assassin's Creed is the assassins are always suspending themselves off of the buildings, you know?
That's true. And, like we covered this story earlier, but, we would have been able to quick suspender CD Projekt Red's new Cyberpunk 2077, but they actually had to suspender that for 21 days. Instead of putting it up when it was supposed to be.
I'd say it's because we're a couple of big spenders. We want to play that on new next-gen consoles, which I don't even know if those are. Maybe my PS5 will get delayed 3 weeks too. Who knows?
I know.
Are
you getting the digital version or the disc? How much are you suspending on your PS5?
Joseph Yeshik in the comments says, "Have you guys played Watch Dogs?" Yeah, we did a whole Watch Dogs episode. We did a bunch of Let's Plays where they were like, we made this brand new huge open world where you can play as anybody and you can hack into stuff and you can control drones. And Brian was like, the construction worker has a wrench, and you just went around hitting people. It was a bunch of stuff in there.
I played that game like a caveman.
You did?
Yeah. I'm very excited to start that game very soon. Actually,
and this weekend. I did a Let's Play with Bruce Green of Playing Video Games on the Internet fame, who's a wonderful dude, and it was like a real special treat to just like I don't know, Bruce Green used to occasionally just show up at the office and be like, "Hey man, what's up?" Or like we'd see him at like an event and we'd just hang out and drink or whatever. And we don't really get to have that anymore. So they were like, Bruce Green is going to be calling into your computer and you two are going to play Watch Dogs together. And I was like, oh, what a treat. What a thrill. So go look that up. We have to go now. It's time for dinner. It's time for supper.
We do. We have suspended a long time of talking to you today, but we're going to suspend this show for about a week, but we will be back next week. So tank tops for watching, and we will see you very soon.